Hey everybody, welcome back to Shots Life. Hey, this week we have a great episode. We're back on the American Eagle. Boy, I'll work in this one. Whoa, power went out. That's crazy. Man, the power's gone out every single day this week. Oh, there you go, power's back on. I don't know what's going on with our power, it's crazy. Anyway, we're back on the American Eagle, the excitement of this place. And this week we replaced the Webco. I had done a rebuild on it and I had filmed it. I don't think I even put it in any of the videos, but I replaced the Webco air line filter, which keeps the air regulated and dry. And then we switched gears and we put in all the new hydraulic lines, as well as the foot that was leaking out. We got updates on that. So it's a good episode. I appreciate you guys watching. Stick with me. Welcome to my life. Hey, today we're working on the Bendix or Webco 1200, I guess is what it's called. I'm putting a generic version of that on my bus. You can buy those. They're pretty expensive. They have all ranges from $500 to $94, you know. So I got one off of eBay, and then I got Bendix rebuilt governor for the Ford as well. And of course, you know, I put that new filter on. This one comes with a filter, so I'll just leave that on there, but I'll keep that filter. But I just think that it keeps bleeding off. And so I'm going to go ahead and replace the whole thing. And that way I'm not worried about it anymore. It'll take quite a bit because I have to pull all those fittings off once I release it. I need to go underneath the bus and let the air out. Current status on the hydraulics, I took the cylinder back off the bus when the system does work. But the one ram is just pouring fluid down it as it goes down. So I've taken it off and I've taken it to a hydraulic rebuild shop and they're supposed to quote me out, but the original quote was like $1,700. And hopefully he's just hitting high because he doesn't know. But that's kind of where we're at with the hydraulic system. So I've got two more hoses, the two for the driver's side rear. So the 4 for the rear will be new, and eventually I'll have to do the front ones. We'll see. I know one. I think one line is leaking a little up front, so it won't be long. We'll be redoing those, but it requires me to take the plates off the center, all the way up the center of these two massive plates. So I may end up having those done. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do it. Just getting those plates off by myself. I'm not sure I can get them back up. I can get them off. They'll probably fall on me. Anyway, I'll have to figure that out, and I will. But in the meantime, I've got the other two hydraulic hoses. They're about $100 a piece, 90 something dollars a piece when you get them made. So they're not cheap, and that's just with the rears. They're about $6 a foot for the tubing, and that's 40 feet times 4. So it'd be quite expensive. I just ordered shocks and airbags for the bus today. Hoping to get that ram back. I can lift the bus, get those, and then block it. And then I can get those bags replaced and shocks replaced. And so we'll be new underneath because there's a lot of checking on the bags under this thing. So anyway, I ordered those today. I spent about $1,500 on shocks and bags. And then once I get that done, I'll order tires. And it looks like I'm going to go with Toyos. I'm not going to go any smaller. And I think it's going to be about $4,400 for tires. So if you don't know, tires are supposed to be replaced within, around 7 to 10 years, depending. One of mine has a screw in it. The other one has a big gash in the side. And there's plenty of tread left on them. Of course, RV tires rot from the inside out. And so I'm right at the point where I could get away with not replacing them, but why start patching stuff? And I got a sidewall issue, so why take any chances? We're right at the mark, so get these tires swapped out. Plenty of tread though, they look great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the tires as far as wear. They're just timed out. So yeah, so if you're not an RV enthusiast, there you go, timing out of tires, something to know. In the meantime, I'm going to get in here and get this done. I got to go into the bus and let the air out, make sure there's no air in the system, and then I'll start pulling that apart. All right, let's get to work. All right, so I just got under the bus and let all the air out, and now I'm getting ready to do this. You know, I realized I don't have a stool. I need a little stool or something. I don't even know if I'd fit in here with a stool. I hate these top opening. I wish they were all side opening, but whatever. Top opening in the way for me. But at least you can get to all the filters easily. All right, so this is the bad boy we're gonna replace, and this is the governor we're gonna replace. We got our new parts right over here. So we got our Bendix governor and our El Cheapo Labco 1200 replacement. And we're gonna get busy. I'm gonna put it on speed and just let you watch. I'll try to get the lighting better and we'll go to town. All right, there you go. That's what we're replacing. Of course, I'll keep that filter because it isn't old, it's a new filter. And then we'll take all this stuff off, take the governor off. Yeah, we'll check these lines while we're at it too. All right, well, let me get busy. All right, so I got her mostly in. I got a broken little hose here, so I need to go get some of this. And also I want to get thread stuff before I sealant before I put those on. But other than that, she's sitting in here just fine. This had a bad end from the beginning. If you look at the end of it, it was just, they didn't get the brass seal on there all the way when they put it in. And it was pretty sharp angle. So I'll get a longer piece of tubing and figure this out. Well, maybe a shorter piece actually, and figure it out and get it in there nice and neat. But I need another brass fitting to do that, and probably just replace this whole line because it's so old. But the rest of it seems pretty flexible, just not that end. This end right here is hard. So I'll get that piece and some thread stuff and then get her put it back together. But other than that, she's in. I had to get some washers for the back side of this. The bolts were too long and this was too shallow. So I got that done, but other than that, the thread dope and that piece right there, she's done. She's ready to go. Man, I looked everywhere this afternoon for this, and I finished up, cleaned up walked over there, and it was sitting right in the bucket where I left it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I must spend hours looking for this stuff. In the meantime, though, I can put these on now. I just wanted to seal them. Alright, so I've been to the local store, got the parts I need to redo this little yellow hose. It was just rotted and it broke off on the end. So of course the new pipe is way soft compared to the old. So I'll just measure it out and get her fit on there good, and we'll put all new parts on there. That'll take care of that. It's good probably. But that's the little hose that I broke. Now just getting it tightened up. She'll compress on there. That way I don't have to worry about it rotting out or breaking again. It's better to get new stuff on there. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. All right, so that's it. Got that last tube in there. Nice and soft. I really like that. But anyway, got the fittings on there. Everything's locked in. I'm just going to go around and double check everything one last time, and then we'll fire the bus up and up she'll go. All right, so it's been a good day so far. I was working on this bus already. Got the rear other side lines made, and I've just been putting them in. Got them hooked up here, there and there, so they're ready to go. Now I just got to feed it to the other side and then hook them up to the shocks on the other side. They kind of feed through the deal here, and then it's just nasty, greasy, but I have to go across over top the transmission and get across the other side and then back down, excuse me, to the shock on the other side, which is leaking all over the place. So I got to get this done up, but yeah, we'll get there. I just need to crawl in here and run it across. Really nothing to see, so I probably won't show much of that. I may show myself, I may show me hooking them up to the shock on the other side, but other than that, it's just feeding it through and making sure it stays out of the way of everything. There will be 4 more to do, and those go to the front of the bus. They do need to be replaced, but that's a heck of a job. We'll see what happens today, but there's, I thought they were big metal plates, but I got up under there and started looking at how bad the job was going to be, and they're big, huge plastic sheets, which is good. In this case, it'd be lighter. So I'll probably have to jack stand them on one end, unbolt them all the way down, kind of let that side down, go back, let the jack stands off the other side, that kind of a deal. But and there's 2 big plates, so they're going to be heavy because I think they're really thick plastic. But get those down to get to those lines. I think once I do that, the rest won't be too tough, except for the lines go over the gas tank somewhere, and that's where it's leaking too. So I'm not sure if it rubbed through somewhere or whatever. I'll have to figure that out, but we'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually. Right now, the goal is to get this all this done up and get these rear ones buttoned up. I did get the shocks in and the airbags for the rear, so that's pretty exciting. I will have to get the new air fittings for these. I'll have to measure those out off the old ones because those other ones are just rusted out and corroded out. But and then of course got the shocks. I won't be doing that until I get the other jack in the back redone. I took it down to a hydraulic shop. I actually took it to 3 hydraulic shops. The first one, the guys weren't there, but it was a garage in front of a house, which I actually like that kind of stuff, but the guys didn't have the tools. I could tell when I was there, because these hydraulic rams had to be cut open. They're welded shut, so they didn't have that kind of equipment. So I left there and went to Lexington to a real professional shop, and the guy was afraid to touch it because he didn't do welded ones. Kind of weird, but whatever. And then I drove all the way down to Somerset, Kentucky to hydraulic specialists, and the guy was like, yeah, I've done, I think he'd done 2 others. This will be his 3rd. He knew exactly what it was. He knew he had to grind it open and all. It was no problem for him. He quoted me out around $1,700, depending on what was wrong. The one he had done before, there's a metal piece in the bottom, and I actually had to have it made because it was warped. But he cracked mine open and called me and said, nope, everything's good except for the seals, and it's going to cost me about $895 to have it done up. So I said, yes, get it done. So they're rebuilding that. If it was a regular cylinder, I would probably just try to do it. But being welded, you know, you're welding around those new seals and all that. So yeah, eventually we'll get in there and get that put back on. I don't know if you can see it, but probably see it better than me actually. But yeah, we'll get in there and get that back on there. Once I get it back, get that all buttoned up and sealed up and the hydraulics from leaking. And then once I do that, I can lift the bus rear end, not the axle, but the axle, just the bus with the hydraulic jacks. And then that allow me to, because the air springs will be expanded, that'll allow me to get in there and take those out, put the new ones in, put the new shocks on, and so we'll be good on the rear end. And then I have shocks and air springs for the front end coming. Everything came from a different company. The rear shocks, the front shocks, the rear bags, and the front bags all came from different companies. The front I found from a manufacturer that specialized in Rayco, which is my front end suspension, and it's a special Rayco air spring, which kind of sucks, to be honest with you, because I don't like specialized stuff. The rears were just regular old hair springs. These are Continentals, the ones that are on there are Firestones, but these actually came from the Spartan chassis, the actual chassis company. I didn't buy the front from them because they were way more expensive. The same thing with the shocks. They had the shocks, but I saved about $60 a shock and quite a bit on the airbag, rear airbags, buying them from a different company. So I think it was 40 on the shocks I saved and 60 on the airbags, each airbag, buying them from different companies, not these, that's the front. These ones came from Spartan chassis. They were priced right at the same. And the shocks actually ended up coming off of eBay, or I'm sorry, Amazon. I shopped around and, you know, I went to all these different shock places and they had good prices and everything, but when I put the part numbers in and it came up, Amazon had the better price. So you know, I like to support the smaller companies, but you know, when you're talking $40 each, so that's $80 out of my pocket right now. Amazon wins. So I'm gonna run these lines across there. Of course, you know, I'm getting filthy. So now that I'm dirty, I might as well just get going and get those silver there, get them tied in. I got a mess going on the floor because that shock's been leaking, so I need to get that all cleaned up. And we'll get going. We'll get going from there. All right, that's your update. See you in a bit. So I just wanted to show you this little hole that I had to get into so I can see. I know it's dark, hang on, let me get the flashlight. It's hooked on a cable, stupid flashlight. All right, so you can see on top of the gas tank. I don't know what you can see, but that's the top of the gas tank. I'm in this little teeny weeny hole. Help me! Behind the gas tank. But that's where I gotta be to get the hydraulic line. So you can see right here, this is where the hydraulic lines go into the bus. They're all strapped to a bunch of other wires and they go in this compartment and then they somehow or another get to the chassis frame and then come back over and go all the way down the coach. So, you know, it's almost impossible for me to figure out how to get to that. All right, so I got up in there in the front end and I got my head above the gas tank up there and found that the hydraulic lines don't go underneath the bus. They actually go into a channel that is in there somewhere. It's where the chassis rail is, which I think is somewhere behind this. So I'd actually have to rip all this out, all that stuff out to get to it. And it gets worse as it goes down. It gets up in this channel, which I think I could probably get into if I dropped that whole lower thing there all the way across. But it gets worse it goes in around this and then goes in, so I'd have to pull the whole electrical system to get in behind this panel. And I don't really want to touch any of this wiring. It's 15 years old. Anyway, so then it goes, follows that chassis out, and then comes behind the rail. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to see in here or not. Oh. Yeah, it's dark, but basically it comes out behind the chassis, in through a hole that's back here, right back here, and then comes out and then goes over the axle and then back. All right, so that's not really gonna work for me because those cables you can't just pull them through that channel. They're zip tied to other wires and a bunch of other stuff every couple of feet, actually every foot or so, all the way down. And so that's just not gonna work. I can't pull on that. I can't pull on those 50, I mean, they're attached to 15-year-old wires. It just won't work. But there's this beautiful channel all the way down, made for wires and fuel lines and whatever else, right down the center. What I'm thinking I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna measure it out to come out of the regular hole where it comes out at, go over the transmission and then through over the rear end, come down with the rest of these cables, and then just follow this channel to the very front, go back up, go back over the gas tank where the other cable is, and then hook into my hydraulics that way. Should be relatively easy, except for one thing. I've got to measure all that out. I can't just take the hose and then run it and have them rebuild this hose, right? So I've got to start measuring. I've got to measure everywhere that I'm going to go and then make sure I make it long enough. I guess I'll make a test one and then run it and then make sure it works, and then I'll make my other three. But yeah, this has turned into quite the project. Yeah, that's the best thing. I can't imagine if those things blew, because it would be above the your compartment. So it'd be above all the stuff that you're storing, and that would leak down into your compartment if it blew there. Thank goodness it's leaking above the gas tank and around the back by the transmission, because, I mean, otherwise we'd really be, I mean, that'd be a mess. And then who say it isn't leaking in there? Maybe it just hasn't found its way out yet, but it'd be great down here. If it blows, so what? It just leaks on the ground or on that plastic plate. So that's where we're going. All right, let me get to work. Let me get to measuring, and then I'll get cleaned up. I'll go in the town and have a cable made, try it out probably tomorrow, and then if it works, then I'll have them make 3 more. All right. All right, so I've been to the Parker store, and here's what $308 looks like, 43-foot line. So I'm gonna go under here and put it in. Hopefully it works out. I'm going to go to the longest point, and then if that works, then I'll just have the other 3 made. But at $300, I didn't want to make 4 of them and then be wrong. So it was a lot of measuring. Of course, I'm not putting it in the original place. I'm putting it where they should have put it to begin with, but that's a different story. So, all right, well, let me get on this bus and get started running this line. I think the back's gonna be pretty easy. The front I'm kind of worried about, because getting to the nipples where you hook them in, especially at the top. This one's going to the bottom, but the little box they have to cut in to put these the cable through in the front there is pretty narrow. So I'll have to get up in there around the gas tank, and then I think I'll run it the length of between the wheels first, and then I'll go up and hook the front end in and run all that. And then I'll come back and go over the axle and back around and then up through here and then hook the backside up. Or at least that's the plan for now. I think that's the right way to go. But first I gotta get that cable run the length of the bus in those slots, and then we'll work from there. Get all this on here. So we got the line run down there to the gas tank right there. And then that's where it's gonna have to go up into, and then over, and then out under here. This is the jack in here. And then the line that we're going to do is this bottom line, which will be the easier of the 2, I think. The top line, it's going to be difficult to get up there, actually, and get it. So that one will be interesting for sure. I might be able to get this one. All right. You can get it there, I guess. This one's got a little more room than the other side, so that's good. That cable I've got to get out of there. So it's going right there, but it goes up above the gas tank and then through a hole back there, a little hole, and then down through the gas tank. So I've got to get this one disconnected, which is going to make a mess, and pull it out so there's enough room in that thing. There's a small hole. And then go from there. I actually may. There's a good hole access here. I could probably run it up there and go across the top too. I'd rather leave it kind of like the way they had it as best I can. So we'll get this disconnected right here, and it'll drain quite a bit, I think. So I'll put some towels down, and then we'll pull that out, and then we'll try to get up in there. I don't know if my arms will reach that far either, above that gas tank to there. That's the other problem, is lining it up in that hole. It's gonna be tough. It is gonna be. There it goes. All right, well, that's dripping out. I'll go up top and try to pull it through, and we'll start going from there and see what we can get done here. I gotta go back up in that hole right up in there between the gas tank and those hoses. There's a hole in there. All right, we're back up in this hole in the middle of the motorhome. And again, I doubt you can see much, but that's above the gas tank, so I gotta crawl up it a little higher and get up in there. Get my head up where I can see. And then I've got to pull that hydraulic line that goes over there, which I gotta find first. It's gonna be one of those right there though. I gotta pull it out. And then somehow I gotta get that other line all the way back up in that hole. That's tough, because that hole is small. All right, well, that way actually went rather swimmingly, to be honest with you. Nasty, of course, covered in grease or hydraulic fluid, hydraulic fluid. I'm gonna leave those paper towels on there for now, because I'm gonna use those again when I do the top one. You don't have to leak out. But she went right on there really well, actually. And that's good. That hose was busted, by the way. Both of those are busted, so that probably was causing that leak. So now I'll zip tie up here, and then I'll run her zip tie her all the way down to the back of the bus, and then we'll figure out from there how to run it. It looks like I may be a little long on cable. Yeah, it looks like I may be a little long on cable. We'll have to see what happens to that, how it gets swallowed up in there. But I may be able to shorten her down to a smaller size. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here. I must have overmeasured, but I still got to go up and over and then through and then around and then in. So we'll see. I mean, maybe it won't be as much as I think. One step at a time though. We'll get the zip tied in. We'll get her stretched down the center line, and then we'll feed the top around. That way the zip ties hold the line. I'm not pulling on it. And it'll keep it pretty much where it's supposed to go. So that'll take me a second, because I got to slide up underneath there again and zip tie it all the way down here. But not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It actually went right over that gas tank, out that hole. I was surprised. Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, it's just a matter. Let's get in there and zip tie and whatever. Sorry about the camera work. It's just, this is an odd thing. I can barely move around in there as it is. All right, so I got this hose run, and then I took the air hose and then blew the line out to make sure I got the right one, and just so it wouldn't drain, because I don't think, I can't pull it out, so I'm basically gonna have to either roll it up at the firewall where it goes in, or cut it off, either way. But right now I'll just roll it up out there just so it's out of the way. And then the new line, of course, then is hooked in. So that's good. So 3 more lines to go and all the lines will be new. This one was definitely blown. It had a big, I wish I could show it to you. I'm not pulling it out though, but you can see how it's bubbled here. Well, basically it had bubbled underneath. You can see it's bubbled there too. But it was bulged above the gas line, and that was leaking up on top of there too. So that was coming over the gas tank. And I think the other one is as well. So I'll push this through just to get it out of here. I again blew it out with the air lines. And I'll roll it up and put it against the firewall there, make it nice and neat. And I'll probably do that with all 4 of them. We'll see. I mean, they can sit up on top of the gas tank and they can sit up on the firewall. I guess it's not really in the way. If I feel like they're going to be in the way, I'll just cut them off. But anyway, it's working out so far. I'll check when I get under. I haven't been under it yet, but just to check the overall length of the hoses, because I'd like to keep them all about the same, and we'll see if it's a lot or a little or what the deal is on that when I get there, to actually how much extra I had on that line. I'll measure that out, and then I'll order those other ones just a little bit shorter probably. That was the longest one. It went across the bus all the way to the front and all the way to the ground. The other one will be at least a foot shorter for sure of this one. So maybe I'll just go 42 feet for the rest of them. Not really sure. Again, I got to get on there and figure it out what's extra out there, right? Again, sorry, there's not a lot of video on this. It's just that I'm in these tight, cramped places where there's no light, and it's just hard to see, but you get the idea. I think that I'm running new lines, getting rid of all these old lines. It's good, but it's expensive. It's expensive. So you figure it'll be $1,200 for the front, and it was $400 for the back. So $1,600 in hydraulic lines to replace the lines on it. That's what I got into it, just about, plus or minus. And then of course $895 to get the, or $65 to get the ram rebuilt, the one that was bad. So, you know, it's not terrible. A new system would have been $4,500, the Bigfoot system, but then it wouldn't be on the same control board as my air ride, and my air ride airs if the hydraulic, they're tied together. If the hydraulic lines aren't connected, it airs out. So that would have caused a lot of problems. And then it would have took my active air ride away, or that's my understanding anyway. So I didn't want to lose that capability. So rebuilding this is the best way to go anyway. And I mean, I like original stuff, you know, the best that you can keep it. So, all right, well with that, I'm out of here. I will see you guys in a second for you and on a couple days for me. All right, it was a pretty good day today. Today I went down and they called me and said the foot was ready. So quite the job here. I mean, they just did a great job, but basically they had to cut this bracket off and then cut all the welds around the top here off and then open this cap. I mean, you talk about a job. And then once the cap was open, then they could rebuild the cylinder, put it all back together, put new seals in it, put the cap back on, weld it back, and then weld this bracket back onto the back side of it. So quite the job. They did a great job. Hydraulic specialist, of course, it wasn't cheap. I mean, they charged me, but it's ready to go back in the bus. So I'm getting ready just to shove her back under there, and then I'll lift her up inside there and then jack her up like I did last time, get the bolt started in it, and then get it secured. We'll get the hoses hooked up. And then I had the other 3 hoses made up, so they're ready to go. I probably should turn some lights on in here, huh? So you can see. All right, so then I had the other hoses made up. So there's $1,300 worth of hoses. Yeah, they are long hoses, but they're there. So I'll get them spread out. I have them marked 1, 2, and no marking. And then I'll run them out the back of the door, and then we'll run those 2 like we did the other ones, hook them to the front, hook this back up to the back, put our blocks underneath, and then we should be good to go to fire up the system. Well, I'll put fluid in, and then we should be good to go to fire up the system, and it should work. All right, well, let me get to work, and I'll get you on speed, and we'll get the best shots we can get. You know, I'm not too stressed about the camera work right now. When you're underneath that bus, it's everything you can do to move around and get the job done, much less try to film something. But I'll put a speed camera in the back, and hopefully you can see some of what I'm doing. All right, so we got that line on there. We got 2 lines to go. They're hanging out there, so we'll get those, start pulling those. Apologize for this lens cover. I know it has a spot on it. I will replace it after I get this done, or I'm not dragging it up underneath the bus. That's what it is. It just gets scratched on the front. Anyway, 2 to go. Those will go in together, top and bottom. I'll do 1 on top, 2 on the bottom. Excuse me, and then we'll come back down here and get them hooked up. Alright YouTube, hey, I got it all hooked up. I'm nasty. Oh, I'm nasty. So I'm going to head inside and clean up before I go inside the bus and fire it up. But everything's connected. Everything's mostly stowed, right? I still got to put the bottom plates back on. I'm sure I'm going to do a little more zip tying. I have cleaned it up pretty well, actually, to be honest with you. I've zip tied everything up in here. So I'm ready to put the plate back on over there. I will have to foam around that, though, to keep the stuff out of here. The rodents. I did zip tie that up a little bit. I want to work on that wiring a little bit to make it a little neater. But yeah, everything's connected. All the lines are there. All the new lines are in. Yep, and everything's pretty much cleaned up. So let me get cleaned up, and then I'll come out and fire this thing up, and we'll see if it works. All right, I'll see you in a second. Maybe I'll look a little. All right, so it's the next day. I've been to the store. I put 4 quarts of Mercron 5. Or Dextron 3 or Mercron 5 transmission fluid in there, and that's what it calls for. So here's the test. I'll fire up the bus here, and we'll see. We'll see what she does. Get these doors open so I don't fumigate myself. I gotta figure out what that buzz is, because that's supposed to be fluid, but shoot, it's not good. So that same fault. I thought the fluid would take that fault out. Front accelerometer failure or hydraulic pump timeout. Solid. It was solid. So hydraulic pump timeout. So I think that hydraulic pump might have gone out. It's not good. We're gonna figure that out. All right, so I just put mine around and somehow it reset itself. I actually just went over the solenoid and skipped the solenoid. So I don't know. I have it in manual. I don't see it's doing anything. We'll see. I have it in auto. Sorry. But it doesn't really matter. It's not doing anything. So that's weird. Okay, it swapped to manual. Let's see, auto. Doesn't want to. All lower. I need to cycle this a few times if it does work. Let's see what I got here already. Nothing. Alright, so now I've cleared it. It's not faulting, but it ain't doing nothing. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. It's interesting though, we're not in a fault. Well, that's really good. Let's go to air. and travel. Now it should pull up the hydraulics. There, it did. That's good. Okay, so that works. So that should clear that buzzer, hopefully. Still going, but it should clear it. And it did pull this one up, so good. Wonder why the buzzer didn't go out. Okay, so we're in neutral, so we should be able to do hydraulics, and then go auto. That's a dump. Very good. So it's dumping. All right, it may be working. Maybe working. And then I should see jacks going down. Let's see. I'm sure it's like got a vacuum lock or something in it. No, still going in auto. Still trying. Oh, I hear something moving now. Okay, okay. We have 1 foot down. All right, that's good. What do we get here now? All right, we got 2 feet down. The one in the back, you can't see it, but it's down. All right, the one in the back's going down. Oh, the one in the front's going down. That one's jumpy though. Probably needs to be lubed. Get that air out of there, you know. Very good. Nothing's leaking. Really great. Okay, now let's go to travel mode. Let's go travel. Now my hydraulics should come up and my air ride should go down. Going up, you can see back here in the back corner. Maybe if you, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is going up, and it's almost all the way up. All right, these ones are going up. They're getting a little faster. All right, so in that episode, I got the hydraulics done. I was super excited, so excited I didn't even make a closing video. Anyway, it worked great. I was really, truly excited that that everything got running. I was worried that maybe it didn't work or whatever, you know, because the lines were bad and the jack was bad and you couldn't use it before. It's working great, and it has been working since then. So that's really exciting to have that. It's a major project, I mean, honestly, and to have this system working along with the air ride system working now, it's awesome. Those solenoids really did work in the front. So that settled that issue, and then now with the hydraulics in the back being all straightened up, we're in a good place. We're in a good place. So the bus is coming along. Won't be long, and we'll have her on the road. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. And Bob, I hope you're feeling better. Bob's been in and out of the hospital here a couple times lately. All right, I'll see you guys next week.